Today I'm going to be talking about symbols, and I want to talk specifically about a symbol and an image and a form, a shape, but not exactly a figure, like a personal figure, or a person figure that has been kind of floating around, kind of coming back, joining up with other things, and appearing in my mind time and time again. And take note of it when you have these strange images that you envision and see in your mind's eye, and they keep appearing again and again and again randomly. And I was like, what on earth does this symbol, does this representation of something, like, what does this have to do with anything? Why am I picturing randomly in my mind a Bikerack? I don't know, but you know what? I'm going to voice it. I'm going to express it. I'm going to come up with a way for it to make sense. To really, really, be creative and open up the mind, opening up the Dublin ways of going. Again, something I thought of randomly that just came randomly as I was talking. A certain thing where it's not so limited. It's not so limited. I think maybe an example of this, see if this is going, yes. An example would be if you were to walk into a fabric store one day, and I wish I thought of this, I didn't, but if you were to walk into a fabric store, and if you were to pick out a fabric for Venus, the planet Venus rules love, money, lust, the paintings that I have around this place, such as the painting that I'm looking at right now. All things very creative, all things very color-coded, and very beautiful, very vivid, very majestic as well. Venus can look at beauty, and especially Virgo, which, does look at, being an earth sign ruling over the earth. And so you can certainly find several locations for you to go along, like a valley or a mountain, which certainly does have that magnificence to it. But, what would that fabric be? Or if Venus was a food, I'd probably say that Venus was like a lemon meringue pie, or cheesecake, or chocolate. Those would be my guesses. But thinking about the characteristics and traits of what these planets really are indicating, what they are about, what they are here to teach us about, their meaning, and their eccentricity and individuality. So, we have that. And then symbols, like, I made up a term. It's called face pictures. What is a face picture? When you look at somebody's face, take note of what random image comes into your mind. What random thing comes into your mind? Like, I can look at somebody and I can see a biker. I can see I don't know, the back of a car seat. And these things, again, they're very, very random. They're not gonna make sense necessarily completely in the logical mind, but it's just not being afraid to take note of it and voice it, to go beyond the limited ways of thinking. So this symbol I associate the symbol of the bike rack, for example, with something being very, very left brain, very left side of the brain, very logical, very analytical, very, very down to earth. And at the negatives, when we were in the last earth paradigm, and there's a consciousness shift going on right now where it could possibly be people, probably men, very, very wealthy, wearing suits and ties, and, probably entrepreneurs and CEOs of huge companies going about their daily work in the mainstream society and pavilions of wealth, let's say, um, in their own best interest. And there can be a competition, which, the worst part of it is being in a Shark Tank where you need to survive and know I'm better, you're, you're at a lower level, you're at a lower level of this triangular um, pyramid, let's say. So, um, it's this sort of thing. Very, very left, very logical, um, in the mind, but it's not always the most authentic thing. So, this particular symbol. Now, a vision could possibly be if you were to sit in a car, go to a town on a Friday night, and then go to a restaurant, have a mushroom burger, and then one of the people that you're with suddenly decides to stand up, take the microphone, and entertain the audience. And then coming in and coming out of this restaurant. Now, this could be maybe July 17th, or it could be like um, early to mid June. But you see this shape, you see this figment of your imagination come in real life, and there's a variety of events, certainly in my life, that have kind of formed together and morphed themselves into something, transformed themselves into this sort of, the glutton of um, what it could possibly be. Again, I'm being very creative as I'm talking. So, this thing, say there's bikes, some have their tires very, the tires are very pumped up and they're very, they're good to go, good to head out on the road, head around the town, probably not go down the highway, and others are not. And it's discerning which ones work better than others. But there was also the process of creating this thing, creating the wreck itself, or better yet, creating the bike, putting it together into little pieces and breaking it up into different steps and different stages and different processes, and aligning all those together until you create an image as spectacular. I mean, I'm talking for somebody um, who lived way in the past, which could be a bike, which it could form into something. So the steps of, we're going to create the wheels, and then we're going to create the handlebars, and then we're going to put a little bell um, on the end of it, and then we're going to do the little checks to see if things are working as they should, working very usefully and very, working as perfectly as they can, and if, as efficiently as they possibly can. Putting in the quality, the time, and the perhaps blood, sweat, and tears to be able to create this. And I'm talking about climate change, for instance, which is a real hot button issue, and I could go get into the spiritual side. But there is also um, the logical side, the math, the information, the details, the numbers, the graphs of what could possibly be going on with this. And the fact that bikes can use less energy, maybe less of Earth's valuable resources, who knows? But they're more convenient. It's more convenient. Maybe. Or less convenient. Who knows? But maybe you can make the substitution of taking out the car, for example, and then replacing it with the bike. And then riding around town, and parking it in this place. And I could say quite a few things about this, but these are just kind of guesses as they sort of come, as things, like little, like little light bulbs sort of flashing in a huge factory room, and one goes off after the other, and they're all tangled up in this, jewel web of connectivity, and they'll go off at different times, and how that can be like little, specks of dust that kind of come to light, and then you can see them, and then you can see that idea, and then you can just input that idea into what you're doing, and then possibly, depending upon what you're doing, refine until you can really create something very excellent. So that is the symbol today.